everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be a sad one. We're going to be talking about the tragic assassination and murder of youth conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated yesterday at a Utah college campus while speaking to a group of students. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a couple of clips in a news article pertaining to his tragic death, the environment of the left, and just some of my opinions thrown in. If you're all about those raw, honest reactions, you found the right place. I'm Indigo Moon, and here we dive into everything from the latest reaction videos and social commentary to breaking news events and so much more. You never know what's coming next, just know it's going to be real, fun, and full of surprises. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy this type of content. Alright, let's get started. Okay guys, so the first video I'm going to be reacting to is by NBC News, and this kind of gives us a shorter rendition of the ABC article of the events that occurred at the university campus.
And good evening. Tonight, a new chapter in this era of political violence. Conservative political activist Charlie Kirk is dead, assassinated while speaking on a college campus in Utah. These videos capture the chaos in the crowd as at least one gunshot rang out, striking Kirk near his neck. It happened in broad daylight in front of a large crowd of thousands. Kirk had been talking about mass shootings when the shot was fired. Little is known about the shooter, but moments ago authorities said they have a person of interest now in custody, but the investigation is ongoing. The president calling Kirk great and even legendary. Called a MAGA influencer, Kirk was a major supporter of President Trump and helped build his 2024 coalition with young people. The 31-year-old had a massive following but was divisive at times, often leaning into thorny political issues with provocative commentary. At least 1,000 people reportedly signed a petition to try and stop him from speaking at the event today. Tonight, political leaders from both parties condemning the attack as America reels from another political assassination. We have team coverage across the country, and we begin with...
I want to go back to the beginning because he said he was shot near the neck and he was actually shot in the neck. And he also said that they had someone in custody, but they let that person go and they're still looking for the suspect. This is an older posting video. At the time recording, it was posted about 14 hours ago. So there's still, new information and more that'll keep coming in.
Liz Kreutz. And Liz, we have new information tonight just in about that shooter.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. FBI Director Kash Patel has just posted that the suspect in the shooting today is now in custody, while the governor of Utah has just said at a press conference they have a person of interest. This update coming after another horrific day of political violence in America. Hundreds of people were there at Utah Valley University to see conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who had just thrown hats to the cheering crowd and posted on X, "We are so back," touting the first stop on what he called the American Comeback Tour. The 31-year-old conservative star who rallied young people behind President Trump. He just started talking there under that white tent when witnesses say one shot rang out. The shooting was captured on video and is too disturbing to show. Immediately, crowds started running for cover.
We just heard an immediate pop. We're like, what's going on here? And then after that pop, we just saw him in his neck. We saw him fall backward.
I was the last one standing because I couldn't quite believe. I thought maybe it was a stunt. I'm still shaking and I'm still crying. I love Charlie Kirk. He's awesome. And I prayed for him and his family.
Brendan says he was just 15 feet away. He says Kirk was answering audience questions. He had just been asked about mass shootings when the shot was fired.
He was actually just talking about mass shootings too, which is crazy, with the trans shooting that just happened recently with the trans shooter. And as soon as he got done answering the question, we heard a loud pop. He got hit in the left side of his neck and dropped. We all dropped. His security dragged him out of there, and we just ran. I was more angry, I would say, than terrified. We hear all the time that we're the problem, we're the violent ones, we're the issue, and yet this is the second mass shooting attempt on a political figure. First Donald Trump, now we have Charlie Kirk.
Kim had come to see Kirk with her daughter Bentley.
It was scary. because you don't know if it's real, if it's not, but you just have to go with your gut and get out of there.
Former Congressman Jason Chavez was also there with his family.
People came out to hear the dialogue, the back and forth. Ask him anything. That's what Turning Point and Charlie Kirk's all about. Ask him anything. In the midst of that, the shot rang out.
This is absolutely a tragedy. It is so sad. Like I said earlier, I'm still at a loss for words what happened. And to what that gentleman was saying, that you're constantly hearing from the left that conservatives are the violent ones. We need to take away the Second Amendment because the conservatives are all going to come after us. And look who it is that constantly gets attacked. President Trump, a few times now. Charlie Kirk. Who else is it going to be? Is it going to be Officer Brandon Tatum? Candace Owens? You? Me? Just for having a different point of view? This is the environment that they're fostering. It's absolutely disgusting how far we have come from our true American ideologies of free speech, open talk discussions. When you think about great civilizations, the Romans, the Greeks, the Renaissance era, these were all people that came together with their different thoughts and ideas, shared them with each other in public platforms. Of the best advances that we've had in the human race came from those eras. And I believe that that is part of the reason why our founding fathers made it so imperative for our country to have free speech, because they knew that open dialogue, that back and forth, that's how people come together from different ideas. We're able to empathize with each other. That's what the left struggles with so much. They want so much empathy to their lunacy, but they show none back. It's like talking to toddlers. It's absolutely insane. I have to deal with quite a few of them in my real life, including my mother, who's the worst offender. But people shouldn't be afraid to be able to speak up at a public university. Like the last lady, she went there with her child, and look what happened.
He says everyone started running and screaming.
And I just hope and pray that somehow, some way, he survives this.
But just before 5 this afternoon, President Trump posting the tragic news. The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. In the House, a moment of silence.
I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. Political violence must be called out, and it has to stop.
The House chair is absolutely right. There should be no place in our country for political assassination. And I believe that there should be even harsher punishments for people who do commit these types of acts, because it is a type of terrorism. It's a type of terrorism to silence people, that you are willing to take their life.
The university says the gunman fired from a building 200 yards away. Late tonight, FBI Director Kash Patel saying they have a subject for the horrific shooting in custody, while Utah's governor described a person of interest.
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed-circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing. But we don't have a much better description other than that.
So many witnesses saying they saw no security at the event before the assassination.
There was no checkpoints, nothing to get in here. Everyone was just able to walk in here. I'm like, I have my backpack. I'm like, if I wanted to, I can just bring a gun with me.
I can't believe what I'm hearing, that there was no security. Again, another event that no one was there to check weapons. For those of you who are an adult like I was, mostly, about 20 years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I mean, there were security checkpoints for every little thing. For example, I was in my early 20s and we were going to just a local event, right? Like a local flea market type of event. And they had security there. And I had with me my little pocket size pepper spray. I didn't even think about it, to be honest, because I had it in my purse. And so we went through the checkpoint and they found it. And the female officer took it from me, even though I told her exactly why, as a young 20-year-old girl, I was walking around with this thing. She wouldn't even let me go back and take it to my car. We hadn't even gotten in yet. We hadn't bought the tickets, nothing. That security checkpoint was right at the front, right on the sidewalk as you were coming from their parking lot. And she was like, absolutely no, I'm throwing this away. And she threw it in the trash right in front of me. But somehow now, with all this political violence happening, they don't think that kind of security is necessary. That's the same thing that happened at that Trump rally where he got shot. People said they weren't checking. I think they were only checking for the people who were sitting at the very front area, like those who bought the tickets. But anybody else in the surrounding area, which was an open area, nothing. It's like, we have to do better with this kind of security, especially now, because we know they're not only just going to go after high political candidates, we're going to go against influencers. Then what's going to come next? Regular people who it's just going to be okay that if you say something that a person doesn't like, you have a right to endgame them. At what point is this lunacy going to keep going? And I don't want to get too much into it in this video. In videos that I have seen before recording this one, I have seen people talking about how they wholeheartedly believe that this shooter was not an unprofessional. The fact that he was able to take that shot from so far away and hit him in the neck, that's professional. I mean, that kid at the Trump rally, he wasn't as far as this shooter was, first off. So that's going to make a difference. And that kid had experience. And he still missed like that. It was a professional. It was definitely a professional. At the very least, someone who has maybe decades of experience with that type of weapon. And I also believe that there was more people involved. I don't believe this whole, oh, this person acted alone. I've heard so many people talking about what was actually said right before he was assassinated. And somebody went up and started bringing up in mass shootings, but it was within that topic, and he was about to speak, or he was in the middle of speaking when the shot was taken. I mean, it very much seems like that was some kind of code, but I don't know. I'm not one to really get too far into conspiracies, but the logic does make sense to me.
Charlie Kirk survived by his wife and 2 young children. His organization, Turning Point USA, asking that everyone keep his family and loved ones in their prayers.
Just seeing that image of him with his wife and children just absolutely breaks my heart. That woman was widowed. And that's what people don't understand when you're looking at it from the other side. Like seeing people on the internet praising the actions of this assassin towards Charlie Kirk. It's like, what is wrong with you? You have no empathy? It's like, regardless of whether you liked him or not, or you agreed with him or not, no one should be murdered for speaking their mind and wanting to engage in consensual conversation with others just because they didn't like what he had to say. That sounds so childish. That sounds like an argument that 6-year-olds have in the playground. And that's the type of mental capacity that's allowed to have a weapon. That's the problem. But seeing that image of his family, people can't empathize. This woman is widowed. Her husband was murdered. Now she has a 1-year-old child and a 3-year-old, so 2 toddler-age children that she has to raise all alone now. And sure, people are going to say she has family, she has friends. Maybe she does. Hopefully she does. But that's not 24/7 help. You took their father away. These children are so young that they'll never remember their dad. The only memories they're going to have, like I said earlier, are going to be pictures in videos from the internet and the unfortunate video of his demise. People don't care about that. And that just blows my mind. That's why it's like, I can't be on a side with people who show no empathy, but want all the empathy to them. No, that's childish. Absolutely, I cannot stand for that.
All right, Liz joins us now live. Liz, there in your report, you were talking about the lack of security. What more do we know about the event that was being hosted there on the college campus?
Yeah, Tom, well, it started around noon local time there, and it was open to both students and the public, and witnesses were saying there was not a lot of security there. This was part of the American Comeback Tour, where Charlie Kirk was going to be going and speaking and answering questions at different college campuses. This was the very start of that tour for the start of the fall semester, Tom.
All right, Liz Kreutz leading us off. There have been a lot of late developments in this investigation, so I want to get to Kelly O'Donnell. Kelly, you've been talking to your sources at the FBI. What are they telling you?
Well, senior officials there say that they believe the person who is in custody is the person responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. Much more work still to be done. But, Tom, as you've seen this today, it has been at times confusing. In the initial aftermath of the shooting itself, which is a terrible jolt to all who were present, the chaos of people running away. And there was one older man who was taken into custody. He has been charged locally with an obstruction charge and was described to me by law enforcement as someone who was well known to them, as someone who's been charged with various offenses, not violent, in the local community. So that at first drew a lot of attention. But now it is clear the FBI and top officials, including the governor, separating that person is not believed to have anything to do with the shooting. And so now the question is, what can authorities look at? They've indicated there is video, however grainy it may be. They will be searching for additional sources of video, whether that's fixed security cameras or people using their phones and so forth, to try to analyze that, to diagram the shooting, and then to pour into the life of the person who is currently considered a person of interest. Their phones, their electronics, trying to learn where did they get a weapon, what type of weapon, and what motivations, if any, can be discerned.
All right, Kelly, our thanks to you. Let's go live to the scene now. Mike Hedrick.
All right, so like she was saying, the reason why they had grabbed the first person was because the local police have had a number of encounters with this person before, and even though not violent, they are still aware of this person. So that's why they grabbed him. So like I was saying earlier, not because that person was trans, because he was been known in that neighborhood to be so much of a problem that the cops saw him and thought, yep, probably him. That's the kind of lunatics that we're just letting run around. Even if he didn't do that, that just kind of brings up kind of another point of this soft on crime. How is that man able to walk around like that on a college campus, but yet be known in the community as a problem? It's like back in the day, if somebody was known to be a problem, they were removed from the situation. They were removed from society. They were removed from that area. You can take it how you will, what they did. There was a number of different things they did. But the fact is, they got rid of the problem. No, our society not only doesn't want to get rid of the problem, they want to encourage the TTW lunacy. And somebody like Charlie Kirk was a threat to that, because he is so influential to the youth, especially the male youth. Who else are TTWs interested in? Young males.
With our NBC affiliate, KSL in Salt Lake City is there tonight. Mike, investigators, police doing two things right now, trying to collect clues, but also making sure all those students are safe.
Yeah, and it is a heavy load that they have to bear right now. On any given day, Tom, you're going to have 40,000 plus students who are coming on campus here. The case today with this situation, you had an extra 1,000 to 1,500 people who are here to see this all play out. And again, tragic, surreal, that's how most people explain the situation today. You look behind me and you see some of the buildings here. That's what police were forced to do for hours. They went into every building, every room. They cleared every single one of them. You had chop choppers above. You had drones. They did everything they could to find this shooter. Yes, it seems a little quiet right now, but the police presence is heavy. Tom?
All right, Mike Hedrick for us. Mike, we thank you for that. Just moments after the shooting, I spoke by phone with a man named Justin Hicken, who was at the event at Utah Valley University and witnessed what happened.
I was about 20 yards away on Charlie's left. There were thousands of people there. Unfortunately, there was no metal detectors. There was there was security by Charlie, but anybody could have shown up with whatever, unfortunately. There was someone who stepped up, ironically, coincidentally, who asked a question about mass shootings. And about 60 to 90 seconds in, we heard a big loud shot. I saw a bunch of blood come out of Charlie. I saw his body kind of kick back and go limp, and everybody dropped to the ground. And luckily, there were no other bullets sprayed into the crowd because nobody was really able to go anywhere.
When you heard the shot, did it sound like it was close, near to where he was speaking, or did it sound like it was coming from afar, maybe in the back of the crowd, or could you tell?
No, it sounded like it was the back of the crowd. I don't know, though. It's like it must have been closer, but then again, it's like if it was that close, how did nobody else, see this man pulling a gun out of his, side or pocket or whatever?
We sort of all witnessed what happened to President Trump when he was on the campaign trail in Pennsylvania, and what happened there. When this was happening, did it kind of register in your head, someone's trying to kill Charlie Kirk?
Oh, yeah, immediately. For a split second, you kind of like, wait a minute, is this really happening? And, you saw the amount of blood that came out upon the initial shot, and you knew that it did not look good.
And see, here's another witness that mentioned the lack of security. Unfortunately, Fox has not been reporting on that, which is kind of why I wanted to use this NBC video, because I think that is a very important talking point, that there was not enough security. In the previous clip, the person mentioned that there was about 1,000 to 1,500 extra people on campus. So that's on top of whatever thousands of people they were expecting to show up or are already there on campus. Now they had this extra 1,000 plus. There should have been metal detectors around. Like I said, I've been through that where just for a little small fair, there was metal detectors. A big event like this with a controversial person like this, and you didn't think that metal detectors was going to be necessary? Really? After President Trump's rally? No one thought? And I think that's the problem, is that no one thinks it's ever going to happen in their city until it does. We got to stop with this attitude of, oh, well, it's been going fine the last 1,000 times. What could be different this time? No, we have to treat each one as a threat every time. And they need to have the proper amount of security. They need to have the proper amount of police force out there. They need to have people who have clearly scouted the area well. Law enforcement agencies working with each other. And what's sad is we shouldn't have to be doing this. But our political culture is just so shaky, and it's now just getting shakier with all this that has occurred. I think it's going to become especially more dangerous, especially for conservatives, to be speaking their minds. And they need to be protecting themselves better. And I'm not saying this is Charlie Kirk's fault. Please don't take it that way. I guess for me, my hope is that this could be preventable for others. I don't want to see anybody else get endgame like this. It's absolutely awful and disgusting.
Witnessed by thousands there. Charlie Kirk was an early and vocal supporter of Donald Trump. He used his large following of young voters to help power the conservative movement and cement his place in the MAGA movement and with President Trump. Kristen Welker has more.
Charlie Kirk's influence in the MAGA movement and the Trump administration was monumental. His power and influence extending from college campuses all the way to the White House.
Visiting it yesterday was very moving.
Kirk was a guest at the White House back in May, sharing his experience on YouTube.
I got to see the original copy of the Declaration of Independence.
A close champion of the president, Kirk was a constant presence at rallies, earning a speaking spot at the Republican convention.
Donald Trump refuses to accept this fake, pathetic, mutilated version of the American dream.
Kirk had built a following of millions of online supporters, energizing young people, helping President Trump's re-election.
And I want to express my tremendous gratitude to Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk helped fund the conservative organization Turning Point USA in 2012, within years turning it into a major political force, raising hundreds of millions of dollars. His support of President Trump goes all the way back to Mr. Trump's campaign in 2016, when he helped him win the White House for the first time. Kirk then devoted his focus to getting more Republicans elected to office. Kirk built his own political empire by trying to win over liberal audiences on college campuses, and his own podcast where he interviewed politicians from both parties. But it was President Trump who Kirk focused his energy on, loyalty the president has always valued.
I truly believe that President Trump, throughout these last couple of years, overcoming all these odds, is one of the greatest stories ever told. And let's just say thank you, God, for giving us Donald Trump and giving our country back.
I do just want to correct a couple of things that they said when they were going over the history of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. He was not a funder of Turning Point. He was the founder of Turning Point. He started it himself, and he went years without making any sort of profit under Turning Point USA. So I want to just make that point there. But it just kind of goes back to everything that I've been talking about in the video, that this man has done incredible things with the short period of time that he was here with us. And he has an incredible backstory. The fact that he started Turning Point at 18 and decided against going to college is an example to many of our youth that you don't have to go to college to be successful. There's a lot of people who don't go to college and do it on their own and are very successful. You don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and go into debt, right? And to build it up to what it is today is absolutely incredible, whether you agree with him or not. The fact that he was able to do that on his own so young, and all the activism work that he had done, I find it to be commendable. The events that happened are just so unfortunate and just so sad, and just proof that intolerance can lead to violence, and the media has some responsibility to that.
Charlie Kirk was just 18 years old when he founded Turning Point USA. I spoke to a White House official who tells me everyone there is just in shock because they all had close ties to Charlie Kirk. Tom.
Kristen Welker for us. Kristen, we thank you. I want to bring in Tom Winter. Tom, so much of the focus now is going to be on security and protecting not only elected political officials, but anybody in politics.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. Just look at what we've gone through recently. We had 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. Those Minnesota lawmakers were targeted. Even that healthcare CEO shot on a New York City street. Tonight, law enforcement officials tell me this is an unprecedented environment, and the enormity of protecting all these high-profile figures and institutions all the time is the type of security challenge the country has not faced since 23 years and a day ago on 9/11. Events like today's at a college campus present serious challenges for local law enforcement to secure. The NYPD's top terrorism official warning that the threat environment is everything, everywhere, all at once, Tom.
And Tom, before you go, let's go back to the suspect they have in custody now. We know very little about him, but apparently wearing dark clothing and maybe seen on closed-circuit television?
That's right, Tom, and they're going to try to see if they have the gun on that person. They didn't quite address that at a briefing earlier today. On top of that, they're going to check what law enforcement calls their holdings, basically their files, to see whether or not they've come across this individual in the past.
Okay, Tom Winter for us. Tom, thank you.
And this is a very important talking point, and I kind of went into it a bit earlier, so I'm just going to quickly say that I agree that the conversation does need to shift now, that it's not just political candidates who are going to need extra security, but really anybody that's going to be in a public speaking environment is going to be needing extra security, because apparently there's a group of people that cannot handle an ideology or a thought different from their own, and they just go all TTW with it, and these kind of tragedies happen, and it's absolutely unacceptable and should be the last one. All right, guys, the last clip I have here, it's a short one. It's only a couple minutes, but I wanted to include in the video. It's by Fox News. I'm going to have the link in the description below. And they're talking about the analyst at MSNBC that got fired for the things that he said when they were speaking about Charlie Kirk's death. And I wanted to include this because in the NBC clip, in the beginning of the clip, they're talking about what happened and different political figures that went on Twitter to send their condolences and condemning the actions of this person. And she made a point to say that people from both sides of the political aisle essentially sending their condolences and condemning this type of violence. That's not exactly true. Though there might be some, and more than there were when there was both attempts on Trump's life, there are still people like this person who will take advantage of a tragedy just to shit on the ideology that he disagrees with. And it's absolutely disgusting. It's tacky. And I am surprised that MSNBC even fired him for it, seeing as they lean so far radically left. But I heard that they had recently got bought out and that they're changing their name to MS Now, I think. So this could be kind of part of that shift that MSNBC is so desperately trying to save their network. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video.
Christina Coleman is back live with that. Christina.
That's right, Tracy. We're hearing that this political contributor, Matthew Dode, got fired. And unfortunately, some on the left in the media, they've made some controversial comments following Charlie Kirk's political assassination. Take a listen.
After one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. You can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up with what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech.
And see, this is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about MSNBC's super lefty woke TTW type of thinking. I think that it's good and it was the right thing to fire Matthew, but that lady as well should also be fired and should be held accountable for what she said. She really said that the president would find a way to turn Charlie's death into some kind of like political motive. That is absolutely disgusting. In fact, she's the one who's doing that. That's what's like so surprising with these people, is that they're literally, as they're speaking, what they're speaking is the contradiction. And then on top of that, they're a living embodiment of that contradiction. It's so wild. And the fact that they're able to get away with that on cable TV is absolutely disgusting. But I guess they fired this guy, but they should fire her too, because what she said was equally as bad.
Yeah, so that comment got him in some pretty big trouble. MSNBC quickly addressed how inappropriate it was, writing, quote, "During our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dode made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statements, as has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise." And tonight, President Donald Trump also called out anyone making comments demonizing those who disagree with them politically.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year. in the most hateful and despicable way possible.
That's right, no room for that. And again, Fox Digital reporting that MSNBC has fired political analyst Matthew Dode over his inappropriate comments today, according to two sources familiar with the matter. Trace?
Christina, back to you as the news warrants.
It's just absolutely awful. And I think that media companies should be held more accountable for what their news anchors are saying. And I know there have been some cases, and Caroline, the press secretary, I know she has a case and she might have won her case, I believe. We've got to stop accepting an environment that not only an environment where causing physical harm to somebody just because they don't agree with your way of thinking needs to be condemned, and there needs to be legal punishments for that. Letting people go rampant like this, especially on the internet, and I know how all you free speechers feel about this, but I do not agree, and I do not believe that making death threats on the internet should be considered acceptable free speech. It just isn't. And part of the problem with Charlie's incident is that he gets so many of these type of death threats and nothing ever happens that no one takes him serious. And in that mix, there could be one now that actually meant it. This man lost his life. His wife lost her husband, her partner. These children lost their father. It's a tragic loss. Possibly could have been prevented if we didn't allow for this type of negative, violent commentary on the internet, and especially that type of commentary coming from cable news networks. I mean, I remember as a kid watching cable news like CNN. That was like one of the most reputable news sources. If you heard something from CNN, you knew that it was factual, that they did the investigations, checked every box before putting it out there. And now they just spew all kinds of hateful nonsense, so much misinformation, so much negative, violent commentary. It's almost like watching like a drama show, watching almost like a reality TV show, except it's based in a news station. It's become a joke. People have to go to places like this on YouTube just to get unbiased, well-researched news media. And that's what's so funny too, because these newscasters think they're so much better than YouTubers and Twitch streamers, right? Because they have a college degree in journalism from whatever Ivy League school they went to. And they're absolutely trash. They don't even do the journalism. Yet people who have no journalism background can very easily Google and make a video and give an unbiased opinion. That's why for someone like me, I feel like there's more that fuels that with these news stations, but we won't get into all of that today. All right, that's going to wrap up today's reaction. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up and drop a comment below with your thoughts. What do you think of the video? Do you agree with my reactions, or did I miss something? I'd love to know. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a reaction. Bye, guys.